Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me? Let me start with that. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Marianne Volders. I'm the Vice President of Secondary Education at the Central Pennsylvania Institute of Science and Technology. I have the pleasure of being here with Joe Luther, who is our horticulture and landscaping teacher, and Mr. John Fike III, who is our diesel repair technology instructor. And we're going to talk to you today about innovative instructional strategies that we believe work at CPI, as well as the whole recipe for success that we believe goes into making ourselves and our students successful. The caveat today is a couple things. We know that there are schools, programs, teachers, students out there doing many of the things that we're doing and even more. But what we hope is we share something with you today that you haven't thought of, or that you want to go and use. So if you walk away with one thing today, we're happy about that. One idea that you can implement in the classroom, one idea that you can implement at your school, we would be pleased with that. The second thing is, I feel like a pilot, and air control operator here. I have two screens. I'm working with videos, and honestly, I sit in my office and use virtual Zoom meetings, and I don't have all that technology typically other than a regular meeting. So please bear with me as I work through this today. I do have our IT support person sitting beside me in case I get into a bind, but I'm asking all of you just to be patient with me today. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Luther, and he's going to start us with our presentation.
Good morning, everybody. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about here today is like the growth mindset and mindfulness. And this has been one of these buzzwords that we've been hearing for a while. And to truly look at this and, from a teaching standpoint, what are we going to do, and how do we get these kids and our students in our classrooms to help to develop this type of growth mindset that's going to lead them into their future careers, or lead them into being better students, or better employees, or better employers if they decide to have a business and work through that process. The thing about growth mindset, and the definitions here are on the screen, and I'm not going to read them to you, especially one from Merriam-Webster, because that's pretty solid. But one of the things that we need to make sure that we're looking at is the brains and the talent. That's just a starting point when you start to look at the growth mindset of our students, and how that we are going to help develop those skills that they're going to need throughout their careers. And one of the ways that we have developed this type of skill here at CPI and through our students is this next book that is on the next screen, the Energy Bus. This book, if you have not read this book, or if you have not seen it, I would recommend that you would maybe get a copy of it, or purchase it. If there's any administrators on right now, one of the things that occurred here at CPI is we read this book as a faculty, as a staff. Everybody got a copy of this, and we reported out at our faculty meetings about it. You could pick a chapter, assign a chapter, and ultimately what this book brought for us was a positive change, and it brought together like our culture. The school culture was really brought out by reading this book. And one thing, like I said, if there's administrators on here, one thing that I want you to kind of, maybe take a step back and think of is one of the fun activities that we do in our faculty meetings is it's this little thing called praises and concerns. And they give us, 5 to 10 minutes to talk. If we have any praises, any concerns. And as a staff, we are there and we're helping each other get through some of these situations. Maybe someone's having a bad week, bad day, bad month, bad year. Get this book, read this book, and as a faculty, as a staff, just truly start to believe in this, because it'll change the culture of your school. It'll change how your teachers are developing, new strategies and working through the process. And also, one of the things that I personally do in my classroom and program is I'll hand this book out. It stays in my classroom, and I'll hand it out to a student and just say, hey, read these couple pages, or maybe start to think your own thinking. Not, hey, you have to read the whole entire chapter, but just go through the process and start reading this book. And honestly, this will really help change the culture in the school and help the students and also teachers, administrators, everybody alike. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Boulders.
Okay, so we talk about this as a recipe, and so the next ingredient that I believe in, and I know that many instructors out there, many instructors at our school, and it's the next concept of lifelong learning. And you've heard it; these are all buzzwords. And there's your definition. I'm not going to read it to you, but lifelong learning, and I know we're all lifelong learners, or we wouldn't be in education. We have to promote that to our students as well. We have to be willing to be role models for our students and show them what it is to be lifelong learners. And I'm not taking anything away from the courses that career and technical education teachers have to take, but I am saying that we have to show them it's okay to learn all of your life. You have to keep on learning. And that's what helps communities grow. That's what helps schools grow. That's what helps you grow, is being willing to continue to learn. I'll use this example. We're working through the TAP program on SREB high quality CTEs right now. We've done it before, but we thought it was time to bring it back because we can easily get set in our ways and think that we know everything when we really need to update the things that we're doing and make sure we're meeting the needs of our students. So right now we are participating in that again. And again, like I said earlier, I asked the staff, out of all those 5 days that we're doing, walk away with 1, 2, 3 things that you can take back, teach to your students, teach them how to be lifelong learners, improve your classrooms. So that's what I ask. Walk away with something. You might know some of what you're learning that day, but learn something. Every time you go somewhere, every day, learn something new. Our students aren't necessarily being told that at home, so we need to teach that and model that in the school setting. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Luther, and he's going to talk to you about service learning.
So another big process here, at CPI is service learning. And what we try to do here, ladies and gentlemen, is instill in them a civic responsibility to not only help out the community, but also help develop, and they're taking the skill sets that they're learning inside the classroom and they're using them out in the community, and we're building those community relationships as well. And whether it be, from advisory committee members or other types of projects or just being out in the community, it's such a really interesting scenarios that can occur inside your classrooms from doing types of service learning. As you can see on our next slide here, you will see the opportunities that we have done in the past. And yes, front and center is a HeroScape project. I'll talk to you real quickly about that. The HeroScape project is a combination from a business sponsor, EP Henry, they're a large hardscaping manufacturer, and the community, right? What we're doing is we're building monuments and taking these each year. We try to do one of these projects that kind of goes through and what they're learning inside the classroom, taking them out and doing a real world experience. And it's not just, my program, it's pretty much every program here at CPI in one way or another. One of the big ways to give back is just through United Way Day of Caring, where we'll take and, partnership with the United Way and go out. And as you can see, the list here, give kids a smile day with the mobile dental unit and, just the dental hygiene and things like that, teaching students, young kids, older people. I don't want to offend anybody here, but that type of thing, the whole way through the process. This HeroScape project, and I think everybody can realize who's on the screen there, at least I hope so. It's Representative Glenn Thompson. He actually came to our last HeroScaping project and helped us lay pavers. And what a true experience for my students in order to be able to, they're laying pavers with a congressman. And I'm going to show just a real quick video clip of some of the press that comes from these. And, that's all part of it too, because we want our students to be able to talk in front of cameras and talk in front of people. And that is, definitely pushing them out of their comfort zone. And at times, yes, it takes some coaching, but you will see here on this video. Yep.
Project that is dedicated to 9/11 first responders. It's located right outside Center County Station 82. Each year, CPI students team up with EP Henry to participate in their Heroescaping program. This program helps build and restore memorials, monuments, and residential products for veterans.
We started the Heroescaping portion in 2011. We had a lot of requests for gift stages, memorials, and so forth.
The memorial is in the shape of the Pentagon and has two stone pillars to symbolize the Twin Towers.
Last school year, Mr. Luther came up to me and he asked me to design a 9/11 memorial in this space. And my first thought was the Twin Towers. And then I was like, also thought about the Pentagon. So I wanted to incorporate both of those into the design.
The dedication ceremony included multiple speakers, such as Commissioner Michael Pike, Representative Carrie Benninghall, and Commissioner Mark Higgins.
4 firefighters and 2 law enforcement officers have died in the line of duty in Center County. This Heroescape by EP Henry honors their memory. So we'd like to thank EP Henry and the CPI landscaping students for their work on the project.
And just that quick little clip, as you can see, you know, the students were able to talk, but not only that, with this service learning and getting out in the community, it's one of those things at the end, once they graduate, once they come back, or, you know, they might move away from the area and those things are still in place. It's those type of experiences that will really help shape them into, you know, maybe being a civic leader sometime, or being able to volunteer and, you know, pushing those students in that direction. You know, and sometimes it's going to be difficult. Sometimes you have to give a little bit of a nudge to get them to do these projects, but it's just like anything else, like trying to build the school culture or anything else. These students understand that each year, hey, we're going to do a different project out in the community, and, you know, we're going to help develop these skills that we're learning inside the classroom and take out. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. John Fike, and he's going to be discussing innovative technologies.
All right, so you see the definition there of what innovative technology is. It's basically bringing something else from the outside into your classroom so it can increase student learning and student knowledge. It can be a handheld device, or it can be a program. So I've used plenty of stuff in my program, which we'll give a few examples. There's more from other programs here. So in our advertising arts, we've used innovative technologies such as timeless principles of design. In the diesel technology program, I just started using not too long ago QR codes and flip grids, and I'll talk a little bit on those pretty soon. And in cosmetology, we use the Mind Tap activity. And we also have a video for that. Some of the activities such as QR codes. The reason why I went to QR codes is we have these things called cell phones. They're always in the way in our classrooms. They always seem to be an inhibitor of learning. So what I decided to do is take something that was disrupting learning and turn it into a tool that we use to increase learning. So with QR codes is there's QR code generators are all over the place, but you can embed videos in a QR code, and kids can scan them with their handheld devices, bring up the video, and they can watch it on their handheld device. This is handy for when kids miss school due to quarantining or missing a day just because they're sick, or when I was giving the demonstration, they just didn't get what I was saying, so they can rewatch it and actually learn from the activity and perform it. In Ad Arts, we use the circuit maker and a poster printer. We also have things that we're using in a classroom that started last year, but they're just kind of growing. Our document cameras, our tablets. We also have microscopes, so we can blow up smaller items such as leaves in horticulture, or smaller parts in my area, so you can get a good look at what's going on inside an item. We also use GoPros. I've managed to take those and use them to make videos of my own demonstrations so kids can rewatch them. There's all, with the cameras and everything we got going on, our welding teacher built his own rig, so he could have a camera that he could move around so that they could show welding in process. He put a filler on it and did some cool things there with cameras so it didn't burn out the lenses. We also have in our culinary program, we have overhead TVs, which is really cool because they put in like security cameras that are viewing the tables. And because of social distancing and everything, you can't get everybody around all the food preparation. So they have students watching what's being made on the table through the video cameras that we have in there. And it's also nice that our instructor can see what's going on other tables in different areas and make sure that everything's going well at each station. We also have virtual field trips we've taken to Lowe's, to Home Depot, and at work sites through our carpentry class. Every program here has a YouTube channel so they can create their own videos, share their thoughts, share their processes, a lot of great things on there. As you notice down in the lower left-hand corner, there's a QR code there. That is actually to a beginner's YouTube video on how to use Flipgrid, which I started using in my program as a way to see how kids are doing, because I can't be in every area of my shop all the time. So it goes along with the cell phones. They're always in kids' hands. With the Flipgrid, I use it to kind of replace some of my testing. Because kids don't always do well on the standard test, the multiple choice or true false questions or fill in the blanks. So I took some of those questions out and I made them part of the demonstrations we have in a shop. So a kid will be doing a task and they'll record the task, and actually I'll be able to sit at home and watch what they're doing and make sure they got the information needed. So that's some of the things we do here. I'm going to share a couple videos with you at this time.
John, I'm going to show the CDL video.
Okay, so we're going to be sharing the CDL video with one of the virtual trainers we have here at the school.
With our students, we have a couple scenarios that we do with the simulator off of our screen that we do the input in, and it goes to the big screen where we sit in a simulated seat. Also, it's simulated transmission, and it has the bumps, the thrills, and everything else that goes with driving a truck at our school. What I'm going to start this truck up. We're going to start. As soon as I push the brakes in, we should be able to go. Now we're coming out. You got to make sure you have no one coming out. You're looking in your mirrors, making sure we've got ample amount of time. No one's behind us, so we don't create an accident. We have oncoming traffic. We also have a construction coming up. Take your time through a construction site. Now, if you take notice, you're always looking ahead. You're driving defensive, not offensive. There's a vehicle to come in front of me. Someone that
Okay. Yeah, our next video that we're going to show you is an HEO student using a similar simulator that we have. We actually have 4 of them inside a trailer here at the school. And I want you to look at this student. He happens to be 14 years old. So Mrs. Volders will go ahead and share a video with you here momentarily.
Simulator, it doesn't matter as much as in real life. So first,
a little more of a technical view of exactly what these systems do. As you've seen, working with them, it's obvious they're beyond a video game. The most important thing and the whole goal of these systems is not necessarily to make this 100% real in terms of total feedback and things that what the goal of it is muscle memory, so that as a student or an operator is in their seat, they literally are looking at their brain, they're looking at where they're working, and they literally know what they're grabbing a hold of. Instead of this is less than you want, just looking down when you're going downhill. So these are great ways to build that initial muscle memory, the initial concepts, so that when they go out into the big pit, they go out to the field, they go on the feel of their machine and the exact basically job that they are trying to do while they're out there. My name's Mason. I'm going to run the X.
And just to add a few things about both the virtual trainers and the heavy equipment program and the CDO program. It shows you how to operate the vehicle, but it also allows you to walk around the vehicles there so you can check for pin damage. They have preventative maintenance checks and services on there so that students can do their walk arounds. Same way with the CDL program, which is going to lead me to the next topic, which is our virtual reality. Virtual reality, you can read the definition yourself. It's pretty sweet. You get to put these helmets on like you see here in the picture. You have controls and you can actually go in and see the inner workings of objects. We have one here in our medical science. They use a Sharecare. It's an organ 3D medical science. They can actually go in and look at the insides of the human body, peel back layers and see how it works and see things working. So it lets them see inside the human body as it's working without it just being a stagnant piece. It's not just a model. It's real. It's more real life. We also have, we use it for our dental program. So again, the information technology, medical services, and welding. We also have it for automotive. It's becoming bigger and bigger. It's not just here at our school. I mean, it's really neat that it's here at our school, but it's they're using it in training programs in the automotive field for Volkswagen. They're actually doing hands-on virtual training at their garages so that they can do it. So our kids are seeing what they're using in industry today for their trainings to be better. So there's some great things here.
Before I start the video on this one, I want to mention a couple things. We have our instructor demonstrating on this. Typically, we would like to have our students demonstrate, but because of COVID and the pandemic, we have to be very careful with the VR and how many uses it gets and how many times we clean the screen. So there is a little bit of a hindrance with this. So that's why you'll see, and this is just a demonstration. She's not going to talk about anything. She's just going to pull bones and skulls and stuff out. So I will share that now. Since it's just after Halloween, why not? I will share this now.
See what I'm doing? And then all that's put together, right? So which bone do you want me to take off? Like up there. All right. Okay. Oh, one today, you guys. There we go. Yeah. Which one is this right here? Okay, then what? What's this one? How about this one? How about this one?
So I think you get the idea, from that. I want to mention a couple things before we continue on. Our IT students actually helped make this. We didn't buy this virtual reality system. Our IT support personnel and our IT students helped make this. And then you also see on there that our HVAC program has had one sort of donated to them by one of his OAC members, who's also a cooperative ed person. His son goes here now from an outlying school district, believe it or not. So, this has been really a great concept to get out there and do the work without actually getting out there and doing the work. So the next few slides are mine. And then we want to show you a good video at the end from our Cosmo instructor, Cosmo students. But the next thing that we talk about is trauma-informed approach to education. And if you're like the three people in the room right now, you're probably, it's important, but you're probably worried and almost tired of hearing it already because it has become so important. And I don't mean that negatively by any means. For years and years and years as educators, we know that we've had students with trauma in our classrooms. I believe if I go, we're going to go to the next slide here. I believe, as this says, 1 in 4, 25% of our classes in our schools have students that have experienced trauma before the age of 16. And, I've been doing this now for about 24 years. And I will tell you, 24 years ago, as a business ed teacher, I approached things completely differently than I do today, because I know that I've had to evolve for the students. I don't believe in raising my voice. The students don't need that. I don't know who is sitting in front of me or what they've experienced. So I go into every situation thinking they have never, other than their instructor here, they may not have a caring adult at home. The only people that might care about them are the people that they come into contact with at CPI. So that's how, I've evolved in 24 years. But as a school, we now have to do this, it's mandated to do this now. We know we've been doing it informally for years, but now there's a formal process for it. So, safety, trustworthiness, and transparency, peer support, collaboration, empowerment. We believe in really one rule here at CPI. We don't make a lot of school rules. It's respect. We will respect you. We expect the same thing back. And with our students who have had trauma, once they realize that and we show them that and we're role models to them for that, it really helps with the culture that Joe talked about earlier. So getting on board with trauma-informed teaching, while it's going to be, I think, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. Trauma-informed teaching is not something fun to work on. And I'll turn this over to Joe and John for them to add their 2 cents on this. It's not something fun. It's actually very eye-opening when you start to think about what could be going on in our kids' lives. But that is another one of the ingredients that we talk about. We have got to be open and understanding to our students to go along with the lifelong learning, to go along with the growth mindset. They need us, and you all know that. But now we are just now in the learning stages here, the formal learning stages. We've been doing it informally for the last 8-10 years, I think. And I think we've been doing it well. But now we're working through the formal process. We're using professional learning days to talk about trauma-informed approach to teaching. But that's just something else that we felt like we wanted to mention today, because it really is important. It's important for all of us to take care of ourselves. I can't say that enough. I am that school leader who understands that you need a mental health day. I am that school leader who understands that you need to walk away at 3:15 some days, and I know not every day you can do that, and just not think about it till the next day. You have got to have self-care so that we can take care of our students. That's true for me, so I know it's true for others. So I actually encourage our teachers to say no to things if they need to, so that they can take care of themselves. So you can see some things that are very important in the classroom. You can read those. Something that's important to me, I handle the discipline here at CPI. I think the days of zero tolerance in a lot of areas, not every area, but the days of zero tolerance are over. It goes back to kids with trauma. We need to find ways to teach them, get them back in the classroom, keep them in the classroom as much as we can under the guidelines that we have to follow. So I really don't know that I believe in the zero tolerance thing much anymore. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry. It's just where I am after 24 years and the experiences I've had and what we're working through from a trauma-informed approach to teaching. Now what? Well, we're going to show you a video here in a few minutes before we do questions. I'm going to look at this, and then I'm going to open it back up to Joe and to John to add anything that perhaps I missed. Again, we hope that you walk away today and you learn one thing from us. That's all we ask, one thing. I'm going to ask you, if you're an instructor, you're a teacher, go talk to your school leaders about presenting something that you learned, maybe not from us, but at this ILC virtual conference, to the rest of the faculty. We do that at every faculty meeting that we can. We open the floor up for 15 or 20 minutes so that our instructors can provide a 2, 3, 5-minute video on something new they've tried and it's worked, so that we can get the word out. Go visit other classrooms and labs, go visit other schools. You know, Joe mentioned the John Gordon Energy Bus in the beginning, faculty book reading. I'm going to tell you what, the teachers groan whenever we hand the book out to them and they say we're not readers. But at the end, our welding instructor, I'm going to throw him under the bus, our welding instructor said, I'm not reading this. Now he's retiring at the end of this year and I love him dearly. And I said, yes, you are going to read it. And at the end of it, he loved every minute of it. And when I said, yes, you're going to read it, we have that relationship where he said, all right, when I'm not going to like it. And he read that book and he loved every minute of it. So find a book that resonates, and not a book club. Just read the book. What we did was we'd assign a chapter or two for each faculty meeting, and we'd come in and we'd talk about it for 5 or 10 minutes. I call it joys and concerns. So we have joys and concerns at every faculty meeting. And that has been one of the best things that we've done in the last 3 years. People need to talk. Our students need to talk about the trauma they're having. Our teachers need to talk about what's going on in their world too, good and bad. They need to be a support system for one another. And sometimes they need to say to each other, knock it off. You know, so you got to build that culture where you can have those open conversations. Develop a plan for growth within your school. You may be way ahead of us. We acknowledge that, but still develop a plan for growth to continue moving ahead. Utilize your own staff for professional development. I mentioned that a minute ago. And be present. Be there, listen, be present for each other, be present for your students. Yeah, be present. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to mute myself and let Joe go first and see if he wants to add anything that we missed before we show you the last video.
Yeah, one of the things that, you know, just to kind of wrap everything up here was, you know, coming out of the pandemic, we saw this, like we saw it whenever students were afraid to turn their screens on when we're doing, you know, a Google Meet or a Zoom, and, you know, because they didn't want other people to see, you know, what their house or housing situation might be, or, you know, they might not have the internet capabilities and like all these other, which, you know, yeah, you hear trauma informed, you know, approach and trauma and, you know, all these other things, but they kind of build up, and we're seeing that now that we're back in, you know, in session and things are kind of moving along somewhat smoothly. We're seeing these issues coming out and being a part of it. And, you know, the be present portion of it is, you know, being present in the classroom. And yes, it can get overwhelming, and there's you know, major issues with that. And it's one thing that I had to learn as a teacher was about, you know, self-care and I was always trying to be that person that could handle anything and do everything for everybody. And then in return, it took away from my own, you know, personal life and my own family and, you know, things like that. So I had to just stop, take a step back and look at a different route and ways to take things differently and look at things differently. You know, they talk about looking through things through a different lens, but sometimes you just have to do that, you know, as a teacher, as an administrator, just as a person in general. And just to kind of wrap this up, I was one of the people that with like Mr. Finneyfrock and the welding instructor, I just did not have time or thought that I had time to read this book. And now I'm here promoting this book because, the energy bus really changed my personal thinking, and being able to talk about it from, other instructors and getting their point of view. And we might not agree on it. And there's been times where, Mrs. Volders or Dr. Macon had to step in and kind of shut it down a little bit, but we were still able to speak our piece. Did it turn into a fist fight in the parking lot? I don't know. It might have, but that's just kind of some of the things that, can occur. That's a joke. I can't see anybody's faces here, but being able to do that and also learning from the other teachers in the building. Mr. Fike does a lot of cool things with, the flip grids and all those other activities that he's using from being a diesel instructor. And we're all sitting back just in amazement of how he's bringing this up and the videos he's creating and everything else. So he, in return, is challenging us, the rest of the faculty, in order to go out and find something and develop it. It's not a competition, but it's helping us as a school grow and get better. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fike now.
Okay, so yeah, I learned a lot from the energy bus. It changed my vantage point, just like it did everybody else in the faculty. We all still have different vantage points. What I took from the book is you're the teacher of the classroom. You got to control where your classroom ends up. So if you look at your whole classroom, you're like, oh my goodness, it's overwhelming. Don't look at the whole classroom. Pick one thing. Pick on something that you can better this week, this month, this year. Just one thing. Maybe it's being a more understanding teacher. Maybe it's understanding where the kids are coming from. Maybe it's understanding where you're coming from, because we all went through things. COVID made us change the way we teach, the way we think, and for me, it made me a way better teacher. Steel sharpens steel. That's how you make a knife. That's how you make a sword. The grinding, the rough edges coming off, it's going to make a more refined classroom. This technology thing, you would ask me 2 years ago, hey, can you do a flip grid in your class? I'm like, what's a flip grid? But I went out and I spend maybe 10 minutes a day researching during my lunchtime, clicking on videos to see if I can find something new. That's how I change it. That's how I change the way I teach, the way I test kids, the way they learn, and just being a way better teacher for my students. So that's what I got out of this year. That's how I've made myself a better person, better teacher, a better mentor. I've made myself a better mentor. I'm a better listener. So just try something. Maybe it's just working on listening. So I urge you to try one thing, and I'll turn this back over to Mrs. Volders. And I think we got questions after this.
So I do have a couple more things to add. I was taking notes while they were talking. I'm going to say something else that's probably going to maybe offend some people. I'm sorry, but I believe as a school leader, it is not our job to micromanage our faculty, staff, or students. And I say that because all of these things that we're doing here, you got to let the instructors grow. You got to let them try new things. Mr. Fike just mentioned that he does this over his lunch break every day. And he says, wow, I have a new idea. I want to try it. Well, absolutely. They're going out of their way to find new ways to reach out and meet the needs of our students. And so we as school leaders have to be more open to not being the people that dictate what's going on in the classroom. And we have to be open to them trying new things. And then in turn, we have to ask that our teachers share those experiences with their students. So that was the first thing. The next thing I want to say is I know we've been all over the place with so many different topics today, and we knew we were going to do that, but they're all very important to us and to our students because everything that we've talked about goes into school culture. And thanks to the school culture here, which we're all very proud of. I mean, it's a group effort. It's been something that we've been working on for 15 years. It's very important. But because of the school culture here, that's why Mr. Fike is willing to take some of his lunch break and look up new technologies that he can use. That's why during the pandemic, the teachers just continued every day to look for new things and how do we get the students involved? And they never gave up. Not that any of you did, but they never gave up. And I've never seen such resiliency from teachers or students. So I just wanted to throw those things out to you. Now we have one last little video. And before I share it, I just want to say it's from Cosmo. And there's an innovative technology used. But when we talk about lifelong learning and we talk about growth mindset, the young ladies that did this video, they asked to do it. They sat down and figured out their plan. They wrote the script. I will tell you, when these young ladies started our program 3-4 years ago, they never would have done this. So they have really grown. They have really dedicated themselves to learning new things. And they are funny. And we know them, so they're funny to us. But I'm just going to show a couple minutes of this, and then we'll open up for questions at that point. So bear with me till I share again.
Hi, welcome to Cosmetology. In this class, we use a cool program called MindTap. MindTap allows us to be educated in class or at home. It's a 2-for-1 deal. MindTap is this really cool website that has built-in lessons and quizzes to help us learn more about cosmetology. Why do you think MindTap is a good resource for cosmetology? Because it gives a good understanding of the book and the hands-on projects. What about MindTap stands out to you compared to other online learning websites? It stands out because it has many resources, including notes, instructional videos, and practice tests. There you have it. Do you think that MindTap is a helpful way to learn?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
It shows us all different pictures and videos and a PowerPoint to help us with the notes and everything. It's a good app. It's a good website for me.
Thank you very much. How is MindTap helpful to you as a teacher?
MindTap's resources are available for students to work online, in the classroom, as well as at home. So if students get quarantined, it helps them to stay caught up with what we're doing in class and not fall behind.
And do you think it helps the students learn more?
I think that having many resources, whether it be a physical book or online material, anything that gives us more resources helps the students to learn more.
Thank you. Okay. In your opinion, why do you think MindTap is a good resource to use for our class?
I think MindTap is a good resource for our class because it's very well organized and it's easy for us to get through and learn all of the lessons, and we can go back to use it to study.
So I think we're back on the presentation screen. Is that correct, guys? Okay, so we're back on the presentation screen. I want to say one more thing. These young ladies actually did their own video, and they went out and specifically bought the mic that you see them passing around because they were completely in to making this video and using this as just another resource to teach others about what they do. So I was very impressed when they went out. We didn't ask them to. They went out and bought their own mic. They sent this video to us yesterday, and they were very proud of it. And we just laugh a little bit about it because it's funny to us, in a good way funny. So with that being said, we are at the point where if there's any questions that we need to answer, we'd be glad to do so. So yeah, I'll turn it back over to our facilitators.